So I'm going live on YouTube to talk about June 2018. And so I'm going to turn this down. Live on YouTube. Turn that down. Okay. So and the one more thing. Okay. So I'll be talking about what's happening on June 2018. A little disheveled here. I want to make this though because I'm getting ready to go away for a few days to the end of the week, and then next week is also busy. I've been so busy, so I haven't been doing as many updates. I haven't been doing as much on YouTube. I've just been really busy. I started a course on ancient texts. I also started my certification course, another group of people involved in the course and all like that. So some of my YouTube posting has been a little disrupted. So I wanted to do this before it gets to be another day. And I have a great, June 2018 forecast that I already wrote, that I already created, and I wanted to do it for you. Let me share my screen here so that you can see this is the chart for June 2018. And I want to be looking at that while I take you through what's going on. And so we have this, for us, to look at. We start here on June 4th. I'm actually starting on June 4th. The month began with some intensity, of course, with Moon Saturn on June 1st. Moon Saturn on June 1st in Sagittarius, which of course was quite a bit of, as they say, intensity, that word we all love. Moon Saturn in Sagittarius really started here over the weekend. This was actually on Friday. And, so this month has really been full of pressure already. June is coming in like gangbusters. You see that we have, first, and then on June 2nd, we had the moon go into Capricorn with Mars and Ketu, same way with June 3rd. And June 4th, the moon is about to go, the moon basically finished up the transit through Capricorn. So again, so far in June, we've had Moon Saturn in Sagittarius, and then Moon in Capricorn with Mars and Ketu. So again, it's a lot of, pressure and intensity starting off the month of June. Now, this means that on a personal level, of course, it's a time to really be, introspective and facing our stuff, I guess you would say. This is what happens when we have the moon join malefic planets, right? The natural malefics don't feel so good to us. This is one of the main things that we can say, is that they feel, they feel stressful. They feel challenging. And this is why planets are called benefic or malefic. It's mainly because of the feeling that they evoke, because all the planets are divine energies. But some feel more difficult than others. Saturn feels hard, so it feels difficult. So it's called a malefic, and it also allows us to do things that are stressful and difficult. When you need to do something stressful and difficult, it's those planets it's those planetary energies that you need. Saturn to move, to move something out of your life and to focus on something else, and to face your fears and let go of the past, even though it's painful, make peace with time and all of those things that are heavy in our life. Again, it takes a lot of effort and it's stressful. So Saturn energy lets us do that. And then when we need to cut something out and destroy something and kind of blow it up and maybe have a blow up to get something out, we need Mars energy to do that. So June really started off with these kind of intense energies. of Mars and Saturn influencing the mind. And of course, Ketu, the south node, is also a, quite a, it's like an implosive force, whereas Rahu is explosive, like external, making things big and erratic. Ketu is more introspective, implosive, with a lot of self-mastery, a lot of internal strength. Now, in the sky right now, we have this Mars Ketu. They're very close to each other, and it's an exalted Mars joined Ketu. So we're about to see some things getting blown up and destroyed that need to be destroyed. We're about to see some brutal, intense truths revealed in the world. This, obviously takes the form of things, externally in the world, like in the external world, which may show some, real hidden power in different international, events. Again, I live in the United States, and so we have a lot of stuff going on with the government and the president and other things like that, where there's so much confusion. I think we're about to see in the next few weeks to month some really powerful, deeper truths revealed, where the falsity is going to get destroyed, where Ketu, like a laser, is going to focus on the thing that needs to get destroyed, which is the exalted Mars. We're going to see the truth penetrated, right? Like a laser with that Ketu Mars. Look for that in other areas of the world as well. On a global, in a global sense, in your life, this is also very pertinent. Mars is also the planet of discipline, having the courage to face yourself, face your own weakness. One of the great benefits of this Ketu Mars in Capricorn now is the capacity to be disciplined. Have you noticed how much more disciplined you've been lately, where you actually have the strength to put into practice what you know is right, the strength to do your exercise, do your working out, eat the right food, get up early, and make yourself strong and focused on that and committed to that. That's why Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is about the long-term plan, calculating what's the best move to make, not just acting impulsively, which is the downfall of Mars, but acting strategically. So real strength comes from not being impulsive and wasting our energy, but being strategic and calculating our next move. So this is a really good time now for especially things like your physical health and getting physically stronger, and for instance, like losing weight and doing better in your diet and really committing to your strength. So we can see that personally and also, globally and in other ways also. So again, that Ketu Mars is really important now. And again, Saturn has been in Sagittarius, which has us really focused and committed to what inspires us, not necessarily to what we're afraid of. Jupiter is still in Libra. It's retrograde in Libra, which has to do with really reflecting on how we treat others and how able we are to compromise, how much we learn through our interactions with others, really noticing how much connection we have and what we could maybe do better in that regard, not just romantic relationships, but with people in general. Mercury Sun is in Taurus now, which has to do with that earthy, grounded sort of, ideas and, means of speech and means of communication with Mercury and Taurus. Sun in Taurus, again, is really growing that fertile earth beneath your feet. It's very much about being grounded and being practical and sensible right now. And again, really applying those things in our home environment, in our immediate environment. I think it's one reason why I haven't been as prolific recently also on YouTube, I think, because Mercury was retrograde in Pisces for a while, then it flew through Aries, which, very fast. Then it goes into Taurus, where it's like I'm very much into my immediate tasks and my immediate environment, like every day. I have a lot to do, but I also often, doing a lot on YouTube or making sure to post and whatnot is something where I'm not as dialed into the present, like, oh, I need to do this kind of thing. So I am going to try to be more consistent with my YouTube posting because I really like it. And it's good to, to stay up to date. But part of it is because I've been very much in my own immediate environment a lot more, which is shown by Sun Mercury in Taurus. Of course, Venus is in Gemini, which has to do with variety, enjoyment, fun in your, in your relations with others, and whatnot. So that's kind of the backdrop of June 2018. So we're up to June 4th here. And then to keep going, on the 5th and 6th, the moon goes through Aquarius. Now, again, we look at the moon because that's our main kind of psychology and mindset. The lunar day is always important because the moon is the thing that changes each day. That's why even the Vedic Panchanga, which is the five-fold division of time each day, is shifted in Vedic astrology. We analyze the day based on where the moon moves each day. And by the way, if you want to see how this works, and if you want to actually even, maybe get a, forecast, for yourself, there is I actually do forecasts where you can get that. Let's see if I can I do that here? Top chat, all messages are visible. I'm not even seeing where I can comment here, but astrologytraininglab.com, you can get daily forecast and actually see this shifting every day. You can see how when the moon moves into a different nakshatra, a different tithi or lunar phase, a different rashi, a different sign, different aspects, that these things are analyzed. And I analyze these things every day in my at my member site. So, man, sorry about that. I'm looking at this back end here, and but so on June 5th, again, the moon goes into Aquarius on June 5th and 6th, and Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. It's the planet of that focus and that same sort of commitment that we felt with the moon in Capricorn the last couple of days. And so, we can definitely feel that as well for the next couple of days. I'm doing this now. Sorry, bear with me for a second. Lab.com. So I just typed the link there. I finally have the thing there, and I see there's some folks commenting, hey Tim, hi Sam, always like the new moon. Great. So again, June 4th, we're here. I'm sorry, June 5th, we're here, and the moon is in Shatabishak on the 5th, and then Purva Bhadrapada on the 6th. And again, these are the qualities of Aquarius. Of course, this is sidereal zodiac purely. Shatabishak on the 5th is 100 doctors, 100 physicians, a good day for healing. Purva Bhadrapada on June 6th has to do with the serpent, the celestial serpent, which comes down from heaven in the form of lightning and strikes us and gives us a glimpse of something beyond just this world. Because Aquarius is where we're still involved in the world and culture, but it moves into Pisces, which is where we leave the world and we relax and surrender into liberation. So the nakshatra of Purva Bhadrapada is that nakshatra that bridges Aquarius and Pisces. And again, you want to understand, this is why we always use the sidereal zodiac. You see very clearly how each nakshatra bridges the sign, bridges the two signs. Those nakshatras which bridge the rashis show the qualities of both signs. So you see how Aquarius becomes Pisces by Purva Bhadrapada nakshatra, right? It's where that person of the earth becomes that person of the cosmos, which is where Aquarius becomes Pisces, right? And so during that transit through Aquarius on June 5th and 6th, we also have this aspect from Jupiter. So June 5th and 6th, very auspicious because Moon is going through Aquarius, aspected by Jupiter. These are two excellent days for connecting with your community, with being of service, with finding higher purpose and vision, and bringing it to the world, bringing it to the masses. And then we have June 7 and 8, Moon goes into Pisces. And again, Pisces is now where we look, where the man and where the person looks to leave the world, even the world of culture and society, which is Aquarius. Now we merge into the cosmic ocean of Pisces. June 7, the Moon is in Uttara Bhadrapada, which is after we realize that we're part of the cosmic ocean. Now we need to assert our devotional nature and assert and dig deep into those different holes in our psyche and find that inner nectar, that nectar of immortality. Uttara Bhadrapada is related to the deity Ahibudnya, which is the celestial serpent that goes deep, the serpent of the deep. So we need to go deep into those waters. And then the final nakshatra of Revati in Pisces on June 8th is where the soul then is led gently home by the shepherd god Pushan. So the shepherd god Pushan is the force on June 8th. And of course, these are two qualities of Pisces. Again, very clearly sidereal zodiac. Uttara Bhadrapada is where we commit to that cosmic and metaphysical truth of who we are and dig deeply into that, the serpent of the deep of Pisces. And then after we do that, Revati, the gentle shepherd, leads the soul home. Because the last nakshatra in the zodiac of Revati, again, this was in all the texts, is in Pisces, and it's where the final portion of your journey home is just surrender. Just like a shepherd would lead the flock home, the flock simply needs to follow after all that will and assertion. So again, I do these forecasts every day. I'm not even talking about things like, you see over here in my software, I have Dashami. It'll be Dashami on June 8th. You see it's Navami on June 7th. It's Ashtami on June 6th. These are other facets of the Panchanga. There's also the Vara Lord, Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. These are also part of the Panchanga. So again, these things are extremely valuable. And this is what's happening every day, whether you know it or not. This is the energy that is unfolding every day. And so it's very easy to not pay attention to the sky. It's very easy to just sort of take for granted, be like, I don't know what's going on, or, oh yeah, isn't it a full moon next week? Or I don't know, just kind of space out and not really have your bearings. So again, what I do with the daily forecast is help you get your bearings. And you can, for a 2-week trial, only 50 cents, you can check it out. I just added the link again. So let's get back here. I'd like to do that because people don't understand these, when I do these monthly forecasts, people get so much out of it, but it just skims the surface. You should be up to date. You should stay up to date and know what's happening in the sky all the time. It shouldn't just be something that once in a while you think about. The reason astrologers, hopefully good astrologers and successful astrologers are successful is they pay attention to this all the time. And they understand what they're paying attention to as well. So June 9th and 10th and into the 11th, the moon goes into Aries. So 9th, 10th, and 11th, a new cycle begins. And that's on, that's on Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. 9th, 10th, and 11th, moon in Aries, which is very much about new beginnings, initiation. Aries is ruled by Mars. It's about starting the new cycle or starting a new growth cycle. And this is after the surrender of Pisces and the sort of communion with your higher self. Then we start a new incarnation and a new cycle of growth when the moon goes into Aries. And it's very much analogous to Pisces, is like in between life state, past life, previous life. And then we're born in Aries, screaming baby, ah, right? That's Aries, hot with life, ready to assert. So those 3 days, June 9, 10, and 11, there will be kind of like this enthusiasm and this passion to move forward and start something new with passion and enthusiasm in Aries. And those nakshatras are Ashwini, which is the twin horses. We'll see that on June 9th, a lot of force and energy moving forward. And then June 10th, we'll see it's Bharani, which shows the results of those actions. Again, that enthusiasm and impetuousness of Aries and Ashwini leads to the consequences and the stress and the difficulty of Bharani nakshatra, which we'll feel on June 10th, where we have to restrain our actions and be more skillful. And then June 11th, the moon is in Kritika, where it's exalted. This shows that sort of transition from Aries and the heat of Aries to the warmth and the glow and the illumination of and the structure of Taurus. Again, this nakshatra of Kritika shows where Aries becomes Taurus. And you see that on June 11th. The moon will go into Taurus later in the day. Then June 12th and 13th, the moon is squarely in Taurus in Rohini nakshatra on the 12th. Oh, I should mention that on 9, 10, and 11, the moon is also aspected by Jupiter. So 9, 10, and 11 are also good days for really putting forth your, highest inspiration and purpose. Moon is also aspected by Mars. So again, a lot of enthusiasm on 9, 10, and 11. Good days to start something new, to get out there and, start a new cycle. But it's also, you have to be careful not to, get into fights and battles, especially around your philosophies, because Jupiter is aspecting and so is Mars. We can get pretty fired up about our beliefs and kind of become a sort of pain in the neck, become like a little monster, So you got to be careful of that on the 9th, 10th, and 11th. So again, we say now on the 12th and 13th, moon is exalted here in Taurus. On the 12th, it's in Rohini, which is great for growth, literally means growth and growing. And then on the 13th, we have the new moon. We have this new moon in Mrigashira nakshatra in Taurus. I'll do an entire new moon forecast, but the new moon is where sun and moon come together. Now they'll do it in Taurus here at the end of Taurus, and it's the nakshatra of Mrigashira, which literally means the head of a deer. And this head of a deer is it's a sort of beautiful, curious animal who is looking to experience their environment, looking to enjoy the senses and the beauty of the world, and then try to understand it. So this is where Taurus becomes Gemini, where it's actually like how the young child and the young baby is nurtured and nourished, and then looks up and finds themselves in a world of beauty and joy, and they're curious about it. So this is how Taurus becomes Gemini, the nakshatra of Mrigashira, right? Like a deer, wandering, enjoying, and then curious about its environment. So again, you always want to understand that Vedic astrology is purely sidereal nakshatras and signs, totally aligned. They always were, especially when you truly understand the depth and meaning of the nakshatras. No one would ever think otherwise. And so you also see a beautiful structure, like when you look at the nakshatra of Mrigashira, it's literally half in Taurus, half in Gemini. So you really see how this nakshatra has equal qualities of both signs. And again, once you start to break apart nakshatras from the zodiac signs, then they could be in any situation. Then they're changing all the time. They're in these half portions it just doesn't make any sense. It was never done in Vedic astrology. Every astrological text has the Rashis and the nakshatras completely aligned, of course. So then on the 14th, now I should say on 13 and 14, as the moon gets really dark, we start to lose that light of consciousness. And it can feel kind of spacey and it can feel kind of ungrounded, but it's also things resetting and feeling empty and emptying ourselves. Now, the waning cycle of the moon is always about this sort of emptying and letting go. It's about the surrender. You could say that the waning cycle of the moon is like the exhale. The waxing cycle of the moon is like the inhale. And so when we have the new moon, it's like we start to inhale again, right? But the 14th Tithi and the new moon, as the moon gets really dark, are times when we're feeling depleted and we're waiting to get revitalized. And so June 12th and 13, we're feeling that kind of that sort of waning emotional state, but it's also very pure in that we're feeling empty, and we need to empty ourselves because we're full of a lot of stuff, and most of it is not really useful. So we need to empty our emotions. 12th and 13th are great for meditation, stillness, solitude, because it's an exalted moon that's empty, right? So when we have the debilitated moon that's empty, it's more difficult because then our emotions are really volatile. But this emptying on June 12th and 13th is extremely grounding and fertile and beautiful. So notice that, okay? Now we'll go on to the 14th. So June 14 and 15, the moon is in Gemini, the curious, playful sign. Now by now, Mercury, the ruler, is also in Gemini. So I should go back. Let me go back and find when Mercury went in. It was very early. So Mercury actually entered on June 10th. So since June 10th, there's a lot of intellectual skill and communication skill and discrimination that's possible, right? Because Mercury is in its own sign at that time. So from June 10 and for about 3 weeks, we have a great opportunity to really understand how we speak, why we speak, what we're interested in, and to really process those things in a more evolved way. Because Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, will be in his own sign of Gemini. So June 14 and 15, the moon joins that very powerful Mercury. So June 14 and 15, these are days when our mind is really filled with new ideas and how to share them and how to speak them, right? We have to be careful not to create what's called vata, which is a lot of stress because it's a lot of air blowing on the water. So, but again, if your ideas and thoughts are pure and what you want to speak is pure and good, then those 2 days can really go a long way in helping you to integrate your feelings and be able to speak your feelings and understand them in a way that's not always very easy to do, because feelings and thoughts kind of masquerade as each other. We have a feeling and immediately we have an explanation about it. And it's usually not a very good one. It might be a good one now. You might actually be able to understand, okay, because Mercury is very powerful now. A couple other things though, Saturn is also opposite this Mercury. Now, again, that's actually bringing a lot of structure there and kind of destroying a lot of lower qualities, lower ideas. And so Saturn is also aspecting this Mercury moon. So those things I was saying about giving voice to your feelings, during these couple of days, Saturn will also be bringing a lot of sort of pressure. Again, pressure might not sound good, but it's pressure that creates a diamond out of a lump of coal. The pressure can make, two things happen. It can either break something that's weak, or it starts to break something, and because we care about it, we make it stronger. So there's so again, that's a lot of powerful possibility on June 14 and 15, especially as the moon passes through, is opposite Saturn, is joined a very powerful Mercury. It's also, as if it couldn't get any more, it's also aspected by Jupiter. Again, you see a lot of Jupiter aspects here. So again, this is also really good to connect with teachers and gurus, higher wisdom, and all of that stuff as well, because you'll have a Jupiter aspect also influencing all of that at that time. Then let's see what we're doing here. Now we're at the 15th, and then 16, 17 we have the moon in Cancer in its own sign. It's also going to be joined Venus and Rahu. So a lot of desires on the 16th and 17th, a lot of desires and feelings and emotions about them. Again, this could be a somewhat of like emotional stress, but also devotion. The real promise of moon in Cancer, particularly if it's joined Rahu and if Venus is there, is there's a lot of devotion. We usually don't have any devotion because we have nothing but a lot of desire and a bunch of desires that we want met. When somebody makes me happy and fulfills my desires, I'm happy. When they don't, I'm mad. That's not devotion. That's desire, and they're kind of anathema to each other. You don't have both going on. There's one or the other, right? There's either, and devotion is connected to dharma. Desire is connected to kama, or pleasure. I want it for me. So bear those things in mind on June 16 and 17 as the moon goes through Cancer, joined Rahu and Venus. A lot of emotions, but also a lot of desires and kind of obsessions over those things. Then 18th and 19th, the moon is in Leo, very much about our fiery individual nature, fiery individuality. Who am I? What do I want? How can I get what I want? Right? Again, and it's also how can I give? How can I give the beauty and pleasure and share this power that I have? But it can be somewhat narcissistic if we're not careful. There's also an 8th house aspect from Mars. These planetary aspects by transit are important. Mars aspects this moon in Leo on June 18th and 19th. So again, June 18th and 19th, there could be some real fiery stuff go on in the world as well. Wildfires and other kinds of things could also be happening. I haven't talked a lot about mundane stuff, but of course, seeing this Mars Ketu, we've seen all this stuff in the US, Hawaii, volcanoes. We saw another, I think, volcano or earthquake just happen here very recently with Mars Ketu getting really close. So these couple days, June 18 and 19, we could have some real fiery, explosive stuff too that we need to watch out for. And then June 2021, moon is in Virgo, Virgo is very much a sign of being practical, being resourceful, focusing on the important details, not getting sort of hypnotized by, all the emotion, but staying very practical and buttoned down. So these are important things on June 20th and 21st. We have especially the nakshatra of Hasta here is on the 21st. Hasta means the hand, and it shows manifestation. So the real, a real quality of Virgo is manifestation, and taking what we imagine, which are things that have to do with Pisces, and making them tangible, bringing them into our hand. And again, very powerful. Of course, it's related to Virgo. If you're not using the correct zodiac and it goes into Libra, no connection there. So again, you want to understand that. And I also would say that Saturn is aspecting the moon as it goes through Virgo on June 20th and 21st. So June 20th and 21st, this is also the first days of summer. Saturn will be aspecting, so it really gives a real powerful focus to the transit of the moon through Virgo, and that sort of need for practical measures and routines. Mercury is also the ruler of Virgo is quite powerful, as I already said, in Gemini at that time. Then we have Moon Jupiter, June 22nd and 23rd. So June 22nd and 23rd, Moon Jupiter in Libra. So again, this is going to really bring out the qualities of our relationships with others, those other things that I mentioned that at the beginning where Jupiter in Libra is leading us. Jupiter in Libra leads us to higher relationship understanding and awareness, where we really learn from our partners and from our capacity to be a good partner and a good friend. So the moon will be there, and we may really kind of slide on our principles and values because we want to have connection. We want to have connection. We may also be very fired up and idealistic and righteous about compromising. And again, it all depends on where you're at in the spectrum. But in general, Moon Jupiter, besides that, and besides the influence of Libra, is great for your teachers, your gurus, you as a teacher, you learning from teachers and being inspired. So June 23rd, excellent for those kinds of things, June 22nd and 23rd. Then June 24 and 25, Moon is debilitated in Scorpio. And again, where the emotions can be volatile and intense and hard to, calm down. The 25th and 26th, on the 25th, the nakshatra is Anuradha, which literally is very devotional. Scorpio is a very devotional sign, very devoted, particularly when they find something or someone that they love. They're very loyal, very committed, very connected. That's usually much better than when they have a lot of their desires at stake. The difficulty with Scorpio energy is as it relates to our desires. It's a difficulty with anything, but with Scorpio, it shows where our desires can become sort of like pathological a little bit, because again, when we're not, and again, I'm not saying a Scorpio person, but desires in general bring a lot of attachment. And Scorpio is where we're afraid of losing those things that we're attached to, right? And when there's devotion, there's not attachment, because there's giving, not taking. Again, this is why Scorpio is such good friends, because they don't try to take from their friends. They try to take from partners. They try to take from other situations where they're trying to take, like money or other kinds of things. I don't say Scorpios, but Scorpio energy. When there's personal desire and I'm getting this, and if I'm not getting it, then that's where Scorpio energy goes off the rails. But when it's I'm just giving and I just love you, I don't want anything from you, then Scorpio energy is the most devotional there is, really. It'll hang in there. So again, Anuradha is very much that nakshatra of the devotion of Scorpio more than the other. And then Jeshta is more of that emotional courage, which we'll experience on the 26th. There's more of that emotional courage, that fearlessness to stay in the game. So again, you have to look at these nakshatras very much as a part of these signs. Absolutely no correlation to Sagittarius or anything. Again, if you're not using the proper zodiac, that's what happens. So again, on the 25th, very much the devotional quality. So instead of just focusing on the debilitation, which people tend to do, focus on the power and understand why there's debilitation. There's debilitation when there's attachment. When there's devotion, there's no debilitation. There's just pure power. So on the 25th, the devotion of Anuradha. On the 26th, the courage, the emotional courage to get to the truth of who you really are. Fearless, emotional fearlessness. That's the real, that's also the deeper lesson of Scorpio. June 27 and 28, the moon is in Sagittarius, joins Saturn. Again, Sagittarius is very much about hope, higher wisdom, higher purpose. What inspires us, not what we're afraid of. Again, Sagittarius comes after Scorpio, right? And you see these nakshatras in Sagittarius, Mula, which uproots all of the darkness, right? Purva Ashada, where we plant those new seeds. And then Uttara Ashada, where we make a commitment to those planted seeds. And that's where Sagittarius becomes Capricorn, where the inspiration becomes commitment. So these things are important. June 27 and 28. June 27, the nakshatra is Mula, which is the seeds being planted. Again, but there's a Saturn conjunction. So again, planting those seeds, you might have to really, destroy a lot of weeds, destroy a lot of heavy topsoil, right? It's hard on the surface. On the 27th, on the 28th, Purva Ashada, which is ruled by Apis, the goddess of devotion and love. Apis literally means the ocean. It's water. So planting those seeds, nurturing and nourishing those seeds on the 28th are very important. And then on the 29th, Uttarashada, the later victory, shows where that planting and that devotion in Purvashada becomes the commitment and focus of Capricorn in Uttarashada. Later victory is based on the commitments we make, especially to time and truth and desire, which are called the Vishwa Devas, the universal forces and the universal gods, June 29th. Moon goes into Capricorn June 29th and 30th and is joined Mars and Ketu again, which is where it starts again. So then it comes back around and we have another cycle of Moon join Mars and Ketu. But now we're in the Taurus cycle here, and the sun is in Gemini. So there's a different feeling to this Mars or this Moon Mars Ketu cycle than the previous one. So this one is more energetic and playful, and we're really examining our ideas and whatnot. So I'll do more forecast on that. Oh, I forgot to mention that we have a full moon here on June 28th. No, June 27th. There's the full moon in Gemini. It's in Mula Nakshatra. So this full moon, I'll certainly do a forecast. And again, I do those forecasts on and I do them at the website that I just told you about. I do them here. And I not only do the regular full moon forecast, but I do it for each of the 12 signs. And those 12 signs are, it's different because the full moon for Pisces, the full moon will be in the 10th house. For Cancer, the full moon will be in the 6th house. This is very important, and it's completely different and unique for each of the rising signs. So I hope this was helpful. Little last minute, I'm kind of late here, but I wanted to do this because I wanted to make sure to get this video up. I did it live, but it'll be archived so people can see the June 2018 forecast. And add this here. And a couple other things. While I'm here. And so it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of questions. It's just people, a few people hanging out. But I'm glad people showed up, and we'll leave it at that. I hope you all have a good one. And where do I stop this? I've done this. Let me go back here. Stop share.